Good morning, guys. Hopefully, I'm coming through loud and clear here. Wishing you a happy hump day, happy Wednesday. I know I did put out a video today, but I came into the office early and I just got in the mood to start planning for Sync Up. I know that we're still obviously 6 months away from it. By the way, it is happening for sure. Same location as last year, a hotel very close to LAX airport. I'll reveal where that is to those of you that get an in-person ticket, but we keep it nice and hush-hush and private for those of you that actually want to attend in person. And so I'm kind of coming up with the marketing for it, the topics for it, the speakers who we want to basically go reach out and try to get at this event. We did a really great large amount of feedback and surveying from those of you that attended last year. I had a great chat with all of the other guest speakers and library owners that were with us last year, and just picking their brains on what they wanted, what they think was great about the event, what they think that could be improved. And I think we've got a pretty solid group of like a list and items of things that I think will make this a really, really strong event. And hey, Chad, welcome in. But I'm kind of wanting to just keep this conversation open and this planning process open and transparent with you guys, because, I mean, if you guys don't show up, we're not doing this, right? So you guys have to kind of let me know what's worth it to you. Like if you're going to be investing some serious money to fly out to LA, stay in the hotel, get the ticket, food, lodging, all the things that we have to kind of do to travel and go to these events. I want you guys to walk away from this event going, this was the best sync licensing, educational, and networking event I've ever been to. If you've ever been to any of them, I know there's not tons of them out there to choose from, but I really want our quality to just go up and up and up. And I think our first event was just a grand slam. I just think it went out of the park. Obviously, I was the creator of it, so of course I'm going to be biased to think that it was a great event, but I did hear amazing things from you guys, from the feedback, from testimonials, from those of you that actually got accepted and partnered directly with those CEOs that were there, whether it was virtually or in person. So we actually had some amazing success stories already, and the testimonials you guys gave. I don't know if you guys saw that little promo video I put out and released, many months ago. I'll release it again and let you guys see it again. But just feeling, and you can kind of feel the energy in the room through those testimonials of people saying what they were feeling, what they were going through. So, hey, what's up, Carlos? Sync Up Part 2, right on. Yeah, that's the only part with a Part 2 is it's the sequel, and there's so much pressure and hype for the sequel to outperform the original. And will we be able to? We'll find out, right? But I think we're going to do something. It'll be different. I think it'll be at least just as powerful and insightful as the first one. And my plan is, of course, to make this extremely valuable, but I do want this. I want those of you that came last year to feel like there's a reason to come again, right? Because I don't want it to be just sort of like a recycling of, okay, kind of the same thing we did last year, just sort of an update on everything. I want there to be some new type of content, some new presentations, some new topics. Obviously, some new CEOs, some new libraries I want to bring on board and invite them to come speak. And I want to get some more insights into how the sync decision makers, music editors, maybe even music supervisors make their decisions, and kind of do a walkthrough of some of their gigs and what they've done, and show off and showcase. Here's some music that released into some major trailer or some major placement, TV show, whatever. And here's how that process worked. Here's what the brief was. Here's how we looked for the music. Here's the 5 or 6 tracks we were considering. Here's why this final track was the one that made it. And being transparent about that, because sometimes it's not the best track that gets into a placement. Sometimes it was the politics involved, and somebody had a cousin that had a track in a library, and that one had to kind of go to the foreground and the top of the pile. These things are just a reality in our business, and I don't want to whitewash anything. I want you guys to just get a transparent look into what are the real obstacles and opportunities in front of you guys in this business. So we've got a lot of stuff. I can maybe just start off giving you guys some of the things that are going to be different this time around. And then as you're watching this, either live or afterwards, put it in the chat, put it as a comment. I want this to just be an open conversation. I am looking for your suggestions, okay? So please, no suggestion is too ambitious, nothing's too big. I'm not going to say yes to everything, but I definitely want to know what you guys were wanting from Sync Up the first time that maybe you didn't get, or what you think could be making this event even better. But let me first tell you, before you give me your suggestions, what we will be changing and adding this time around. First thing that's going to be different is our seating arrangement. The last time, those of you that were in the room, you guys were sitting in rows, kind of like classroom style. This time, we're going to be sitting on around round tables. So it's kind of like a banquet style. So if you go to a wedding, you kind of are all sitting at these round tables. We're going to do it that way for one main reason is when we do our networking breaks, we're actually going to call them mastermind breaks this time. We're going to have a little bit more of a scheduled, not scheduled, but kind of like a structured topic of conversation I want you guys to have while you're at those tables. Last time when I just said, all right, we had this kind of networking ability for you guys to meet each other randomly, and the room was small enough that it got like extremely loud and kind of overwhelming and hard to kind of hear each other and that kind of thing. So the fix for that, we're going to be in a different room this time, by the way. We're going to be on the second floor. Last time we were on the first floor, so we're elevating even just in our elevation. But we will be on these banquet roundtables because as I break you guys for these networking mastermind breaks, at the table, only one person is going to be talking at a time. So I'm going to have you guys kind of talk about some guided topics to basically help each other. It could be just as simple as sharing what you've struggled with, what your ambitions are, what you're going for, but also provide an environment for you guys to kind of help each other, mentor each other, maybe give each other some tips or some insights in terms of you guys have all been through different scenarios in this business. And what I love seeing, my favorite part about Sync Academy, those of you in Sync Academy, when I see somebody post a question or they have a situation, they're like, how do you do this? How do you navigate that? And I see not me be the first to answer, but somebody else on the platform come in and help out. Like, it just makes my heart sing. I love seeing community helping each other. Like, I like you guys feeling like you're empowered to help each other with a lot of these situations because, yeah, I can give you my sort of overview typical kind of advice that I give for most people in most situations, but many of you guys might have seen like even the video I think I put out, it was just this morning, talking to you guys about how properly tagging your tracks or improperly tagging your tracks can literally make or break your sync licensing career. We had a commenter, I wish I got his name, maybe I should look it up, but who was saying, what he does is he actually looks at how other tracks are tagged in that library's catalog, if you can see the metadata, and he basically copies from that and borrows it and says like, well, this is how they're currently tagging music that's like mine. So if you guys are sort of scratching your head and wondering, how do I tag my music and how do I fill out this metadata sheet, just go find out how they're already doing it in their catalog. And I was like, that's a brilliant, easy, like almost like, wait, it went over my head. It was something that was so obvious that I didn't even see it. Definitely should be doing that. So I love when we have members helping each other out. So that's what that networking roundtable mastermind group is going to be about when we do that. So that's one of the first changes. Second change is we are going to I said before, we're going to be in a different room. We are going to have probably more presentations than last time, and they're going to be coming a little bit faster. Last time we gave each guest speaker maybe about an hour to get through their topic, 45 minutes for the presentation and about 15 minutes for the Q&A. We might be shortening that up into about 45 minutes total for a presentation, so about half an hour for the presentation and then 15 minutes for any Q&A, because some presentations we didn't get a lot of Q&A, some others we were going overtime. But I think if we can kind of condense those presentations a little bit shorter, we can get more topics in, more guest speakers, and more presentations in, and we can kind of maybe just pick up the pace a little bit of the day. And I think that's something that we should be probably doing just to keep the energy moving a little bit faster. That was certainly a bit of feedback that I wanted to make sure we took seriously this time. Virtual attendees, for those of you that can't attend virtually, we're still going to have the virtual option, and it's going to be better this time. Okay, we are definitely going to have 2 cameras, maybe 3, but we're going to at least have 2 cameras. I know many of you guys, if the camera was not looking directly at me and I kind of walked off camera, you kind of lost me. You were basically looking at a corner of a room, which was not what you wanted to look at. So this time, obviously you could see the presentation, but this time what we're going to do is have 2 cameras. One is going to be on the guest speaker, and it's going to be a fairly wide angle one. So no matter where they're walking or where I'm walking, I know I like to walk around a lot when I'm presenting. You'll be able to see me all the time, and you'll see the presentation on screen. And then we're going to have a second camera that's just aimed at the audience. So when somebody comes up to ask a question, you'll just be able to get a little bit more immersive with that to see who's asking the question. You'll also be able to just watch and see the entire, crowd essentially throughout the 2-day weekend. So it'll feel a little bit more like you're kind of there in the room with us in spirit. I wanted to get super ambitious to make it like a 3D 360 camera, so you can kind of look anywhere, and that still might be something I entertain, but I don't know if that's something I can really pull off at this point in this sort of trajectory of this event. I'm really still trying to build it, and I'm trying to figure out how we kind of can make it, make reasonable improvements, but not go all the way to the moon on day 2. This is the sequel. So, but it'll definitely be a much, much richer experience. Also, for those of you virtually, you guys wanted to have a Zoom breakout room for our networking break. So when we broke last time, we in the room were talking to each other, but you kind of sat there twiddling your thumbs going, well, we can't really, other than the YouTube chat, you know, we had the private video up there. So this time we're gonna have a dedicated breakout room, a Zoom breakout room, and I will designate somebody to kind of be the host, the narrator, or the facilitator of that. So if you do want to do some networking from home, from wherever you are, you can do that during our networking breaks. So it'll be a much more immersive community building kind of experience. Another thing we're going to do, last time, my original plan for submitting to music libraries was to allow you guys to just submit to one CEO. And that was my plan up until we got to the event. And as we were talking to the CEOs, they were just kind of saying, yeah, we're fine if you send us some music as long as you don't send the same music to us as you sent to another CEO. So we basically kind of changed the rules midway through it. And then we did allow you guys to send, you know, 5 tracks to one CEO, 5 tracks to another. You could actually send to every single CEO as long as you weren't sending the same music. That unfortunately though resulted in the CEOs getting bombarded with, I think, to me, and I can kind of, you know, they weren't necessarily saying it was too much, but I could tell by the length of time it took them to review and listen to a lot of the tracks, and not wanting to, and definitely me not wanting to overwhelm them, to have them go, ooh, I don't want to be a part of that sync up thing. It's just a lot of homework on the back end. So this time we are going to be limiting the submissions. So we might do more. There might be more restrictions than what I'm going to tell you right now, but for sure the main restriction we're going to have this time is you will get to submit to one library CEO, whether you're virtually, and you can still do it virtually, but you have to pay for a premium upgrade on your ticket. Or if you're going to be in person, all in-person tickets get that added feature. You will have to be selective and choosy and select one CEO to submit your music to get that guarantee that they will review, listen to your music. Not a guarantee that they'll accept it, but a guarantee that they'll at least listen to your music. So we have to, at some point, you know, I'm trying to figure out how do we do this in a way where you guys still get some value, but we don't overwhelm the CEOs. It's always this big kind of balancing act of me trying to figure out how do we do that. Right now, that's the best idea I've got for how to make sure that those submissions are limited so that they're not overwhelmed with, you know, last time literally some of them were getting 50 to 60 submissions. It's a lot for a library to be able to ingest. And I know a few of the libraries, like, it took them months and months and months to finally even onboard people. And many of you guys even got onboarded, had to wait forever to finally get signed and get into their catalog because they were still busy with all the sort of backlog. So I don't want to be creating problems for these companies. And I know you guys don't want to be a part of a problem for them, even though they want to take you on, they want to work with you. We do not want to sort of, what's this expression where you're sort of, I don't know, you're kind of, everybody's getting a little bit of benefit, but the entire process starts to overwhelm, you know, the library CEOs. And so they'll basically just want to not participate in this thing moving forward. So we definitely don't want to do that. So yes, and JMO, thank you for pointing that out. Another thing that we're going to change is we're not going to be doing the track reviews live in the room. Last time we basically had just reviews in front of the entire audience. A couple of reasons why that just wasn't the right venue to be able to do that. We will still be doing track reviews, but they're going to be in a private, separate room. So basically what we're going to do is rent out a separate room, and we're going to allow you guys, it's going to be an option if you guys want to have this option, to go get private in-person feedback from one of our mentors, one of our professionals. So I'm going to figure out who I'm exactly booking to come to the event, who I'm going to be paying essentially to come to be a part of that. That's going to be another sort of thing that I have to kind of work through. But you will still be able to get in-person feedback at this event, but it will not be in front of the entire crowd. So maybe that's a relief for many of you guys that wanted to get feedback, but you're like, having it streamed for all those people and in front of the entire room, it's nerve-wracking. And so we're going to be changing that process as well. We tried it that way the first year, just wasn't the right approach. We're going to do it a different way. And we are going to be doing awards. So for those of you, I haven't decided if I'm going to open this up for virtual attendees. Probably not. I think what I'm going to do is keep this as a sort of benefit only for those of you that want to sign up and join us in person. Is we will have essentially an award ceremony where we're going to probably pick 3 high quality music tracks. We will play them in front of you guys, and we will point out why we're giving them an award, what makes them licensable. We'll probably have 3 different categories or something like that. I don't even know if we'll do first, second, and third. Maybe we will. But we'll have prizes, or we'll have some sort of a nice little ceremony for those of you that want to pitch a track and submit it. for us. And one thing I'd like to do is potentially have that award ceremony in front of the library CEOs. I think that would be kind of a cool thing, right? So we're actually literally playing your music in front of maybe some of the decision makers that you might want to reach out to as a result of the event and partner with. So that when you do decide who you want to partner with, you might be able to say, hey, library owner, I was actually the winner of the blah, blah, blah award at Sync Up. And here's some music that maybe you would want to be interested in. So it might just help you guys, for those of you that do win one of those awards, push along your submission a little bit better. It's not a pitching session, so to speak. So they're not going to be, it's not like Shark Tank where they get to decide who they want to sign. We're not doing anything like that, but it's just something to expose them to you obviously to them, and potentially open up some new doors that might not have been opened without that. So that would be something that we're going to try to figure out. Carlos likes that idea. All right, cool. I will be upping the speaker quality. That's another improvement. I know I got that feedback that those speakers were basically, my just so you guys know, as the first event, and not sure if it's something I'm going to continue doing, and not sure if it's something that people would even show up for, I really skimmed all of my expenses and budget down, because it's like, I don't know how much I should be super investing in this event if it's, kind of crickets when I show up. It was not crickets when I showed up. It was a full house. Everybody showed up. It was very humbling to be there. But now that I know that there's a hunger out there, you guys, those of you that were there in person or virtually, you saw the value, the potential value you can get from an event like this. Now we're upping the investment. Okay, so speakers are going to be top of the line. I don't know if I'm going to rent them or buy them. I'm probably just going to buy them, because I think this is going to be just an annual event. Why not just buy them? And now the other, flip side of that though, is because that first event was so successful, I have a lot of people approaching me now wanting to be a part of Sync Up, wanting to be a guest speaker, wanting to be a presenter and all that kind of stuff. And I want to say yes to everybody. Like, this is really the hardest part about Sync Up version 2, is having to probably say, not necessarily no to a lot of people, but saying, I want you to be involved, but I can't cover all of your expenses. And that's one thing that's just, I'm kind of losing sleep over right now, because I want everybody involved in our community that I've had a relationship with to be there. But there's literally just limited resources, because for the fact, and I'm not going to change this, is we are going to be limiting ticket sales. Okay, so the in-person ticket sales are going to be capped at 50. We will only have 10 premium, and we're not going to do like VIP and premium. We had like two sort of separate sections. It's just too confusing. We're literally just going to have virtual for those of you that want to stream it live, in person, which is just sort of like a basic ticket to be there in the room with us, and a premium. And the premium spots we're going to limit to 10. So it's going to be a small group of people that can sign up for the premium spots, and then we'll have 40 for the in-person, and that's it. And once those are gone, those are gone. And by the way, we will be releasing those first to Sync Academy, Pro Feedback, Sync Edge, Sync Connect. And if you're in our one of our premium services, one of our platforms already, you guys will be getting first dibs on those tickets at a early bird discounted rate, and some of the tickets will be 50% off. So you guys are going to get a pretty significant discount. And my hope, honestly, I mean, I'd like everybody to be able to show up, but of course we're limiting it. My hope would be that all of those tickets are sold at the early bird phase, so that I know exactly what I'm working with for the budget. I know what I can afford. I know what I can't afford. I know how I can sort of craft this event to be extremely valuable for you guys. So that's what I'm hoping for. We'll see. Last time at our early bird rate, I think we sold like 30 tickets or so, like right off the bat, and that's what kind of freaked me out, because I was like, are we going to scale this thing up to 100? I don't know if I can handle 100 people at my first event, so we actually capped it at 50. So hey, Alvaro, good to see you, man. Sergio, good to see you. And Laura and Troy, sorry I haven't said hi to you guys yet. And the dates, Troy, I know you asked this a little while ago, but yes, the dates, it's June 1st and 2nd, 2024, Saturday and Sunday. Just like last year, we had the first weekend of June. This is still the first weekend of June. Same hotel as last year. It's a hotel very close to LAX, and it'll only be made known to those of you that actually show up and get a ticket. So sorry, I don't just put that out there publicly, but if you get a ticket, you'll obviously get the information. Just know that it's a hotel close enough you could walk to it from LAX if you're flying in. But if you're local to LA or California, or you're driving distance, you can obviously get there on your own if you want to. Okay, what else is different this year? We talked about the awards. We talked about the reviews. Let me see real quick. I was just working on the page for it, so I might be able to refresh my memory if there's something else. I am thinking about having a guest speaker show up and do a whole workshop on creating sync licensing hit songs, in terms of songs that have vocals and are extremely licensable, and why we need to start thinking of ourselves more as sync artists and more as sync songwriters rather than just making instrumental beats. And I know a lot of you guys is preaching to the choir. You kind of already know I've been talking about that a lot, but I'm considering adding a good like 2-hour chunk of maybe Sunday, the second day, to a guest speaker that has a lot of expertise in this and that can help us understand how to make a sync licensing hit, or just even just in general kind of a hit song that really is working and open itself up to a sync opportunity, and provide some examples of great songs, all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to figure out if we can do that, if I can get that guest speaker to fly. It would definitely have to be an in-person one. I also would like to get some successful sync licensing producers to be guest speakers, whether or not they can come in person or just be on a Zoom call with us at the event. I do want you guys to hear, not just from me, not just from, you know, other people you've probably heard from 1,000 times already, but some new faces, some new names, some new voices in our space that have joined either Sync Academy or just started sync licensing in the last couple of years and have seen some amazing high quality results already. So Eric was one of the last success stories you guys just saw. I really would like to get Eric there in one way or another, whether virtually in person, because I think just hearing from somebody like him who's like in the trenches right now in the first couple of years of his career can be very valuable for you guys. So we're going to be looking at people like that. I also want the library CEOs that attend to not only be available for Q&A, but maybe to do a little bit more of a presentation on, I think I just already talked about this, but more on what they've actually secured and maybe give an anatomy of a sync licensing queue. So we've got some amazing high quality speakers from last time. You guys remember Troy McCuban from Alloy Tracks, who was just with Sync Connect this last Saturday or the Saturday before? I think it was just this last Saturday. He last time was obviously a part of our Q&A panel with the CEO, so you guys could just go hear from them directly, which was valuable. But I want to go a step beyond that. I still want you guys to be able to ask your questions, but I also want to get a little bit further into somebody like Troy's mind in terms of, here's a major Hollywood placement you got in a trailer. Break this queue down for us. How was this queue composed? How did the process work? Can you share with us what the brief was saying, what they were looking for? What did the feedback process look like in terms of what your first draft of the track was, all the way back and forth until the very last product? And let's hear maybe some iterations of that, or just, if those aren't available, at least just having him tell the story of how a brief turns into the final placement with the sync placement, with the payment, sync fee, and all that kind of stuff. So I think that kind of insight would be amazing for each CEO to be able to share with us. And I can certainly be the facilitator for it. They don't have to sit up there with a kind of boring PowerPoint presentation. If they want to, they can obviously do that. But it could be something where we're just sort of like, kind of a fireside chat format where we're both sitting at the front of the room, and I can basically just kind of be prodding them along for telling the story of how this particular track got placed and all that kind of stuff. And if you guys have questions about that process and the decision process and what made the particular composer that composed that track stand out and work with them or whatever, you guys can get those kind of insights. So I think that would be even deeper and more insightful than even just having them available for a kind of a generic Q&A panel, which I know was obviously really kind of the highlight of last year's event, but I want to do something even deeper this time. So I want to know what you guys think about that, so you definitely comment on that. I think that's all I got for now. I don't know if something else pops in my head, I'll definitely think about it and let you guys know. But after hearing that, what are some more suggestions you guys want? What are some other benefits that you guys think would be helpful? What is it that you'd be looking for if you were thinking like, am I going to travel out there, stay there, hang out there? What would I want to see? Yes, and by the way, I should have mentioned we are still going to do the private dinner like we did last year. That was such a great part of the event for the premium members. Again, just those 10 people that get the premium spots. We have a private dinner. If you guys remember last year, it was like this long, huge like feast essentially set up for us, and the hot appetizers were just sitting there ready for us when we jumped in, and drinks and all good stuff was included with that dinner. So that was just a really great way for me to kind of connect with a lot of you guys more intimately, and for you guys to hopefully connect with the other CEOs that are in attendance too. So got some great, I want to do that again. I just think that's, breaking bread with your fellow composers and library CEOs is just, there's nothing better than that. It just is a really cool bonding experience. Yeah, crazy, Craig, that the first sync up was already 6 months ago. Yep, it snuck up on me too. I was like, boy, last year it was in November that just the kernel of the idea hit me, and then it was December. Yeah, I think it was December, January that like really the gear started cranking up, and I was starting to look into booking the speakers and just starting to get like a really solid, good roster before I did anything more seriously. This year, I'm much more confident that we're going to get the speakers. So I've already booked the event. I already booked the hotel. I've already put the deposit down. And that also is for me psychologically because I'm committed now. So I've put the money down, I've signed the agreement, and I'm all in. So I do that to myself just to make sure that I am 100% committed to something that I want to see happen. So I'm confident we're going to get the guest speakers, we're going to get the CEOs, we're going to get some amazing things because we've already got a track record now of a first event that went really well. I would like to maybe be interested in expanding our sponsorship opportunities. Last year we had 2 sponsors, which was really awesome and amazing. If we can get more than that, that would be really helpful, especially for the budgeting and expenses. Like if the sponsorships can really take off, that would allow me to just say yes to anybody I want to, in terms of I want people from all over the world flying into this thing, and I would like to pay for them to come and join you guys and make this event even more powerful. But if we're just with ticket sales, with limited ticket sales, there's just only so much I can kind of play with. So we'll see where that goes. And by the way, if any of you guys watching are somebody that might want to help out with that, sponsorship hunting, or somebody that's super connected, I think what it's going to take is relationships. So not somebody that's interested in cold emailing companies. I did that last year. Got a few people to respond. Most people, I'd probably just ended up in their spam folder or whatever. So I don't need somebody that can just cold email. I've already done that. That's something I can handle. But I need somebody that's got like pretty great relationships with established companies that would probably be relevant for our audience and what we're doing with Sync Up. So if you're interested in taking on something like that, I do need to probably outsource it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of extra attention to communicating and stuff that I probably just don't have. And I will certainly compensate you for, your time, your effort, and give you maybe some bonuses for any sponsors that you guys bring on board. So if you are that person or somebody, send them to me. Have them email me, jesse@syncmymusic.com. I definitely would like to expand that this year. I just don't think I have the relationship set up for that. And I don't think I have probably the time to be able to handle all those things. So we'll see if we can kind of make that happen. Estimated ticket sale date, Troy. I'm going to say February. Like that's just the best I can estimate right now. Don't quote me on that. And if they aren't available in February, sorry. But I think February will be enough time for me to have kind of reached out and created most of the guest speaker contracts, and to get people just listed on the website to tell you these are the people that are guaranteed. And I guarantee you though, that as February, March, April roll around, I think more and more CEOs will be confirmed and signed and brought on board. And that's the kind of the tricky part, where I'll be asking you guys to commit to this event fairly early with your early bird ticket sale. But maybe I don't have all of the guest speakers announced yet. So we'll see, how that's going to work out. But I hope you guys have enough faith and trust in me that I will deliver the goods. But sometimes I can't get people immediately signed up for something like this if it's so far in advance. And sometimes it just takes time to kind of grease the wheels a little bit and get people on board with this kind of an event. So I'd say right now, think about February, and if that changes, that changes. I love AI. I think this year you need to talk more about what happens when libraries accept you. It's like a black hole of what happens next, since all they do is say yes and onboarding starts blindly. That's a great question. Yeah, and we have been talking a lot about this. I love AI. Your homework right now, or maybe after this live stream, if you want to keep hanging with us, we'd love to have you hang with us, is go watch the video I put out on Monday. Okay, so in that video, Eric Scutch, I think his last name is, he got accepted by a library after 5 rejections, by the way. 5 different libraries said no to him. When he got accepted, go find out what he did, because it's not rocket science. It's just literally asking them very particular, poignant questions about what they need, what their clients are looking for, what kind of projects are coming on board, how they can make sure that their music is your music is going to be extremely licensable and, most importantly, relevant for whatever's coming on board. So yes, it's a lot of waiting. I'll be honest, like waiting for them to register your tracks, getting onto their website, replies via email. Sometimes these libraries are notoriously slow at all of those things. So again, it's not a race. You got to just realize that it's just a part of this business. But if you can, hang with them a little bit and sort of, consistently keep that conversation going. It's basically a matter of just saying, thank you for bringing me onto your company. How can I be of service? How can I be of help? What else do you want? Do you want to hear the different types of styles that I'm capable of? Do you want me just to keep submitting the stuff that I did? what are you guys needing right now for your clients so that I can make sure that I jump up to the top of your list for these placement opportunities. So that's it. It's just about communication. Nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary other than just having a great ability to communicate with your library owners. JMO, video games and trailers. Is that you're saying maybe add that to sync up? Trailers for sure. Video games, video games are one of those things where, I don't have much, if any, experience really with video games in my sync licensing career. So it would be something where we would want to bring somebody else in that has a lot of experience that's actually done it. I would need somebody with like a really proven track record to come in and talk about that space and how you can really thrive there. Because one of the things that I saw when I first started my YouTube channel and Sync My Music was people talking about sync licensing that had never done it. And they're talking about the sort of not tried and true, but the sort of cliche bits of information. Make sure you've got your metadata squared away, because if you don't have good metadata, you won't get a placement. Make sure when you send your music to a music supervisor, you don't send them a downloadable file, you send them a link. It's like, they're not really helpful. Okay. Like somebody who's been doing that consistently, maybe you've done well, but to me, it's like when I see that kind of information, I'm like, that doesn't sound like somebody who's probably been doing it consistently and successfully for a long time. It sounds like something they read from some other blog post and some other commonly shared meme or video about how to succeed. So we don't need any of that at Sync Up. I don't need memes. I don't need cliches. I want real, actual experience. I want people who have actually done the thing with their own hands. They built the thing with their own hands. So that's what I want if we're going to get into the video game world with Sync Up. So we'll see. I didn't plan to be talking about video games. It's certainly something we should be more open to, absolutely, even though there aren't any back-end royalties associated with them. But I am certainly open to it. So. I guess it's more concerned about ownership of your music, or is everything standardized? Contracts when you get signed to a library. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, contracts. We have a tutorial in Sync Academy called, actually, you know what? I released that on my YouTube channel. I gave you guys that one. Let me get you that one right now. So I think it was called Sync Contracts. Let me see if I can find what it was called. Okay, full guide to understanding sync licensing contracts. I'm going to go ahead and paste this into our chat this morning. So where are we at here? So I Love AI. This one is for free. This one is on my YouTube channel, which is a full in-depth overview of what a sync licensing contract will probably look like. It's not going to cover everything that you're ever going to see, but it's got a good 10,000 foot view on the terms and the topics and what you should probably be looking out for in your agreements when you get from a library. Of course, this is not legal advice. I'm not substituting a lawyer for you. That's not what this is about. This is just education, getting you aware of it. Personally, I never used a lawyer for any of my agreements with libraries. They were all fairly easy to understand, straightforward. I didn't really have to have somebody decode it for me. But if you feel like you need to, that's totally cool. Go get some legal advice, personalized legal advice, if you feel that that's necessary. So that's there for you. You can learn about contracts right now or today. And the ownership of your music, most times, I wouldn't say most times, but every library is different. Some libraries will be asking you to give up the ownership of your music as you send it off to them. And some people freak out at that, and that's totally understandable as well. Handing over ownership is kind of a scary thing, but they need to have that ownership in order to immediately and instantaneously and spontaneously shop your music to any potential placement opportunity they can. If you have ownership, they have to come and ask you every single time a client potentially wants to use your music. If you constantly want that permission to be asked of you, you probably shouldn't work with a production music library. You should go with a sync agent maybe, or you should go maybe try pitching your own music directly to, if you, God forbid, good luck to you, but supervisors or people that have the ability to make those kind of direct decisions. But library work is about you putting music into their hands and saying, just get me as much as you can possibly get me as many placements as you possibly get with any client that you have, anybody that feels like there's going to be a use for my music. I give you a full permission to go do that because I want as many placements as I possibly can. You still retain your writer share. It doesn't mean you give up all of your income. You still retain your writer share. They usually are going to keep the publisher share, but that's sort of a make or break for a lot of people with production music libraries. Hopefully I answered that one. Yeah, Craig's helping out here in terms of you think of it as a pie. The song is the full pie. Half of it goes to publishing. The other half goes to the writer share. That's usually you, and the publisher, which is the library, gets the other half of the pie. So. Yeah, and then there's a sync fee, which is a different. That's the one-time upfront payment that sometimes comes. It doesn't come too often. I'll be honest with production music libraries. A lot of times they will just give a sort of blanket deal to their clients and say use any and all you want. Sometimes they don't charge them anything to do that. They say we just want to collect on the back end with our publishing royalties. So just have at it. It's a free buffet. Take as much of this music as you possibly can. A lot of times that'll be for like a reality TV show or some client that just doesn't necessarily need to be delicately searching through the catalog to find the perfect track for a national ad campaign or something like that. But it's like, we've just got a dance scene. We need some fun, energetic EDM music, and we'll need 10 cues that'll fit for this scene. All right. They just got to go through and find relevant ones that are not too distracting and kind of fitting in the background nicely. Yeah, so libraries versus sync agencies. So sync agencies are going to not take your ownership for sure, and they're probably only going to work on a percentage of the sync fee. Okay, so sync agents are usually going to look and go for those opportunities that do include a sync fee, whether it's $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, whatever, even more. And usually they're going to keep, I've heard it's like 25 to 35% of that sync fee, and then you keep everything else. So they're basically just out there hunting and trying to get you opportunities. And if they get you one, they keep a little cut for themselves, and then you keep the vast majority of the sync fee plus all the royalties. So you think, well, why not? Why shouldn't everybody just work with a sync agent? Well, sync agents usually are going to be going for those premium, high quality, ad commercial, ad campaigns, theme songs, maybe. Production music libraries do a lot of theme songs as well, though. I would say it's more about commercials, maybe trailers. It could be a film placement as well. So usually you're going to see those kind of big upfront sync fees. But what I find, and the reason why I like production music libraries, just my personal approach, is, again, like I said, I want my music to be available for as many clients as possible. So a production music library not only has music supervisors that it can basically pick from, but it's going to have an ad agency that comes to them. It's going to have a director of a film. It's going to have a video game production company come to them. Anybody, like virtual social media campaigns, anybody that might need music for some piece of content can come to a production music library. So if your track's sitting there in the buffet, all of these kind of horses, essentially, sorry for the metaphor, but they can all come and eat at the trough that you're involved with. Sync agents usually are going to be working on one gig at a time, pitching to one thing at a time. It's possible, obviously, to get those placements, but for the consistency, that's where I think production music libraries is really a smarter play. You might not see the major, huge sync fees or those huge payouts, that kind of a thing. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more on the lower end. But for me, my value in life is about, I don't want to just knock a home run out of the park once and then be like, all right, well, where's my next one? I would rather actually do kind of like tortoise and the hare, where I'd rather be the tortoise. I want to like slowly but consistently and gradually grow my catalog, grow my royalties, grow my placements, grow my relationships, so that in 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years is where I'm at right now. My relationships are so strong that when I get offered an opportunity now, it's directly into a company. It's directly into a network. It's directly into somebody that I know is going to get me placements. That does not come in 1 year. It doesn't come in 2 years. It takes time to finally get into those situations and those places. But I think if you can just consistently show up and obviously consistently crank out high quality licensable music, you can get there in whatever way that makes sense for you. JMO saying it seems like cover songs are very popular. Yeah, especially trailerized stuff. We talked about that last weekend with Troy in Sync Connect, that the trailerized vocals tracks is like all the rage. It's been there for a couple of years. It'll probably be there for a while. So yes, for sure. And what's interesting about him is he said that his company doesn't deal with clearing any of those at all. So they'll just come to him, maybe a trailer house, and they'll say, we want to, one of the tracks that he did was for the Batman movie from, what was it, what year was that? Was that 2019? Was it after COVID? I don't remember actually, but they used that Nirvana track. If you guys ever remember, it was like the sort of the title track of the film. And I think his company was responsible for the trailer, and they were given permission and sort of instruction to use that Nirvana cue, or at least part of it, to create part of the trailer music. his company didn't have to pay for any of that. That was the trailer house or the production company or whoever was basically putting together the trailer, or basically the film producer, the studio had to pay for that. So yes, it's definitely a very popular thing that a lot of people are getting into, and certainly something you guys should be considering getting into, especially if you're getting into trailer music. JI, hey, do you think the library CEOs would be willing to ask their top performing composers to be speakers at the event? I like that event. I like it so much. I'm going to write it down. I think that's a great idea for them to bring their sort of all-stars. CEOs bring their all-stars. As long as they're in LA. So that's the caveat to that. Again, I have limited budgets. I have limited funds, and if their all-star is in Spain, I don't think I'll be able to pay to have them come out to Zoom calls all day long. Zoom, though, we had one, did we have two? Maybe just one guest speaker last year at a Zoom call. And while it was great and I was thankful for it, it is not the best thing you can be doing at an in-person event. It's just not, because everybody, it's kind of weird that all of these physical human beings in the room are all looking at a screen of a 2D human. So it can be helpful and it's insightful, and I know that it's like better than nothing, but ideally I would like to have everybody there in person. That's just, I think, why you're having an in-person event, is for everybody to be there in person. But again, it's the funds, and if it's going to be in a single physical location, it's just limited to get people to travel there. But we'll see. Thank you for the opportunity. And it'd be cool to have them together talking too. Yeah, and that would be a cool thing for them to kind of like, spitball back and forth in terms of maybe some big opportunity that the composer got. And then they can kind of like sort of dissect it and kind of go back on like, how did that work? And what were you feeling when this? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Just in general, producers that are doing this successfully, I think, is something that you guys probably want to hear more of. When I was putting out that video with Eric, I had a commenter that was like, only $8,000 for the first year? Like, sounds like this library is taking advantage of them. And it's like, well, I don't want to even go into this rant, but if you don't think that earning $8,000 in the first year and a half of pursuing your artistic desire and your passion for life, if you're not really excited about that or think that's a promising start, I don't know what to tell you. And maybe this is just not a really good fit for you, and you probably should go find something else for with your music. And that's great. You should. But I think when you guys see and hear directly from people who are doing this and actually seeing the results, it can light that fire in your butt and maybe help you. I already heard it from a couple of you guys just watching his interview. You were in the same exact position that he's at, or you were, or you are now where he was just maybe a year ago. And so it lets you see just a little bit down the path of like, okay, yeah, he felt, if you guys watched that interview, he said, I didn't think this was going to work out at all. That was his quote. So he was that unsure, that doubtful, that kind of down in the dumps about getting rejected 5 different times and going, well, maybe just, I got excited, but it's just not for me. And then he turned the corner and he started doing something a little bit more intelligent, and that was making music that was relevant for the libraries and for the TV space. So if you guys want to follow in his footsteps, it's there. He's got an example. He can tell you exactly what he did. And I think for you guys to be able to meet these people, shake their hands, talk to them, or at least if it's just going to be a Zoom call, if I can't get them there in person, just ask them questions about what they were feeling, how they got through those emotions. I don't know, to me, that would be, if I were at the beginning stages, extremely relevant. Because I remember one phone call. I don't know if you guys remember. I'm actually going to find this video too. This was one of the first composers I came up with, and he actually ended up getting some major Fox Sports themes, and it blew up his royalties. Todd, let me get you his link here if you guys want to watch this one afterwards as well. He called me. This was a guy that called me. I think we talked about it in this interview a couple years ago. He called me. He and I were sort of getting our feet wet into this business, working for the same library, and both just cranking out tons of music and seeing a slow, extremely slow start to our career. And he said, Jesse, what's with this sync licensing stuff? Do you think it's worth it? Is this just all a waste of time? I'm not seeing a lot of action. I'm not seeing a lot of placements. Maybe I should just be giving up. Like, what do you think? He was really looking for a pep talk, right? And I was in the same boat. I was like, I don't see a lot either. I'm seeing maybe 14 cents. Like, I think that was probably the first one. Maybe I don't even know if I'd gotten that yet or not. but I said, honestly, I'll just tell you where I'm at. I know this is a long-term play. I'm seeing more and more results. I'm seeing more and more relevancy. My music's getting better. I'm getting better at creating stuff that I think is flying off the shelf faster. So I'm still committed to this thing. I'm still going to keep going for it, but I feel you. I feel that sense of dread or potential regret of maybe this was the wrong move for me. Maybe we shouldn't be doing it. And so we basically just kind of powwowed on the phone. And that call sticks out in my memory of my career of being one of those key moments that I know for him probably gave him some encouragement to keep going, that he wasn't the only crazy one. There was at least one other person that was doing something crazy. And for me also to know, like, even though I wasn't reaching out for validation, I did have validation now that, oh, somebody else is going through this. So these are really, really important conversations and connections and bonding moments for us to have with each other if we want to make this our long-term play for sure. So, hey, John. Wait, sorry, real quick. Better have speakers in one room as virtual viewer myself. Totally get it. Okay, cool. Yeah. John, thank you so much, man. Looking forward to Sync Up 24. Hoping to continue the VIP dinner. Yep. Definitely going to do. We're going to do Q&As. We're going to do we're going to call it now just the premium dinner. We're not going to do the VIP thing. It'll just be either in person or premium. Those are just going to be 2 ticket tiers that you guys can choose from. But yeah, definitely, John. That was great. It was great to finally meet you, have you there. And we're going to keep those things going because those were definitely winners there. But we're going to make them even better, I hope. That's my plan there. So, okay, guys. Well, I'll go ahead and hop off here. I got some errands and some more work I got to do. But if you watch this afterwards, or think about something later, comment below. This is an open conversation, open suggestions. I'm here to serve you guys. I'm here to make sure that you guys are getting the most bang for your buck, the most value from an event like this. And I'm really excited and really, really proud that we're able to do the sequel to Sync Up. So it's going to be a great, great time. So hopefully you guys can all be there, whether it's virtually or in person. And yeah, I'm just really grateful for you guys. So thank you so much for your feedback in advance, and we'll talk to you all very soon.